Good morning, guys. Hey, it's Melissa Wren, and I wanted to talk to you early this morning about decluttering. I've got a lot going on today, so I thought I better get this in early, but I wanted to hit upon just the basics of how do you get started. And I wanted to come up with some questions that, hi Jennifer, that you might ask yourself if you are in the decluttering process. So, 4 questions to ask yourself. Number 1, have you used this item in the last 6 months? This comes in handy. Like when I go through closets and cabinets and drawers, chances are the majority of those items I do not use in a 6-month period. So when I started decluttering myself, like in the kitchen, for example, I really asked myself, like, have I even used this in the last 5 years? If I hadn't, it went out the door. Number 2, would I buy this item again? Okay, that's a good question to ask yourself. Would you buy this item again at the store? Okay, if not, then chances are you can get rid of it. Number 3, do I have multiples of this item? Okay, that was a good one in the kitchen because we had lots of spatulas and spoons and like stirring spoons, things like that that we didn't need. That was an easy way to get rid of some things. Number 4, is this a sentimental item? And I want to talk a little bit about that later because I think so many people hold on to, hi Gwen, I think so many people hold on to things out of sentiment. Like if somebody special gave that to me. And I experienced that too. Like after my mom died, it was hard getting rid of some of those things that, hello Connie, it was hard getting rid of some of the items that she'd given me. But over time I found that, you know, the memory is what matters, not the item. And taking pictures of things really can help you to hold on to that memory, but yet not hold on to the item out of sentiment. So I think that's one thing you can do. Here's something to think about. Having only things you love will simplify your life. And it really does. It really does. Holding on to things that you use and that you love really does simplify your life in general. So, something to think about. One in, one out rule. Kind of use that as a general guide if you're trying to stay on target. Hey Chelsea. So Chelsea tells me she's really good at organizing. So I love people that are good at something joining me because maybe they can offer out some tips too, and I love interaction from you guys. So the one in, one out rule, basically if you are adding something to your home, what can you take out of your home? And I think that's a good rule of thumb with clothing, but also just even in the kitchen. Like if you're adding something to your kitchen, what can you get rid of? For example, Bill loves to go to Goodwill. Okay, he keeps bringing home these glasses. All right, I can't stand to open up the kitchen cabinet and have like glasses almost falling out at you. So I've made the decision, even just this morning, I pulled out some of my clear glasses. He likes these blue, and they're nice looking glasses, but he bought like 6 or 8 of them. All right, so I pulled out my clear ones, giving them to Goodwill. Just, it's got to go. I don't have room for them. So it's stuff like that that, you know, one in, one out rule. Where to start? I would start in an area that's driving you crazy. So if your kitchen, if you've got papers piled everywhere and you just can't find things and you're constantly looking for things, and I hear that's like the number 1 time waster is looking for things that you can't find. So if that's your area, maybe use that as your starting point. In the kitchen, for example, one thing I did, and I think I wrote it down later, so I'll try not to repeat myself, but I pulled out like everything. Like I pulled everything out of every cabinet, every drawer. I put it on the kitchen table and in bins, and I just went through every single thing in that kitchen and made sure, do I really need this? That honestly helped me greatly. Create 3 piles. When you are decluttering your home, have maybe 3 bins, one, and you don't even, I guess one could be a trash can, but you know, papers, for example, papers can easily be put in the trash immediately, or something that's stained or broken, just put it in the trash or recycling, whatever. Second one would be to donate. So have a bin for donating to Goodwill or wherever you like to donate to. The third one would be to sell. And I'm going to have a whole nother series another day. Hi Sherry. I'm going to have another series another day about what you can do to sell your items and actually make money. I will tell you, we paid off some major amount of debt a few years ago just from selling stuff that we already had on hand, okay? And to go with that, not buying as much stuff. Which a lot of times what happens is when you start getting rid of stuff, you don't want to bring it back in. It's kind of like the pounds you lose, you don't want them to come back. You release your stuff and you just don't want as much stuff. I will say that's pretty true for most people. Okay, so somebody said, what if I need it again? I've heard this from a lot of people. What if I need something that I get rid of? I can honestly say in the last like 4 years or so that I've really been focused on trying to clear more clutter out of our home. And it's a process. It's always a process because you're always getting things for birthdays and Christmases and gifts from grandparents and so forth. But have I ever needed anything that I've gotten rid of? I can't think of a single thing that I've like really regretted getting rid of in 4 years. I mean, and I've got rid of a lot of stuff. All right, so I think you're okay on that. You just kind of have to make up your mind. If you really truly need it, you've probably got enough money, you can go to the store and buy it. Someone gave it to me. Oh my gosh. So I put up a post a while back. If I've ever given somebody something and they don't want it anymore, please get rid of it. You've got my permission. If you don't need it, you don't want it, you don't like it, I don't care. I hate the fact that people put stipulations on gifts, and a lot of people do this. They think, hi Steve, they think that if I give something to somebody, they need to hang on to it. I don't put any attachment to stuff I give someone. If they don't want it or need it, get rid of it. Okay, so I just think you got to move past that point of feeling like you're tied to something, because it's something. It's not a person, it's a thing. You can get rid of it. So that's something that's kind of helped me, and especially with stuff like with my mom. She's been gone for almost, well, I guess 13 and a half years. And it took, like I said, it took me a while to get rid of some things. But once I started doing it, I'm like, okay, I don't need this to remember my mom. Like for example, precious moments, had a whole bunch of those. I kept like 2 or 3 that like meant something to me that I either gave her or I knew were special to her. Okay, and I got rid of the rest. I sold a few. I think I gave a few away to other people. Just, somebody that wanted them, that actually asked for them. That makes you feel good about it. That way you're not feeling like, hey, I'm just throwing it in the trash. Habits, mail. So if you've got a habit of mail collecting, one thing I will say that I've always done, and this has just been a habit I've always acquired since I've been on my own and then married, is I go through the mail immediately. So it doesn't mean I take care of everything. Like Marcia said, she like actually writes out her check for bills and stuff and puts it in the mail the next day. I'm not that good. I love it, but what I will say is that I do take care of it. Like I go through the piles, I put bills somewhere, which most of my stuff's online now, but I'll put my bills somewhere. And then the rest of like the mail that goes through, most of it's junk usually, I get rid of it right away. Magazine subscriptions I've pretty much done away with, other than a couple my dad sends me that I enjoy. But a lot of times what I do with those is I pin stuff. Like if I see a recipe I like, I pin it and then I toss the magazine once I'm done with it. So I don't ever have that stuff accumulating. And that's been a newer habit. That's not something I've always done. And a quote here: when you're not organized, you go out and buy more of something you already have. Well, I told you that yesterday. I've done that so many times where I bought shampoo and I had some in the closet where it was overflowing. Temptations. Let's talk about temptations. Target. Okay, that's probably my number one temptation. I don't know about you, but come on, moms or ladies. You walk in and you see something really pretty, or you go to the dollar section and you think, oh my gosh, I gotta have that. It's only $1. It's only $3. It's only $5. They've increased the prices over time of what's in there. I'm guilty of it, but I will say most of the time that's the stuff that ends up in a garage sale or on my Facebook marketplace pretty quickly. So I've really tried to tame that down, and when I hit the dollar section, it's usually for like kids' birthday like favors or gifts or stuff like that. Questions to ask yourself: when you buy something, where will this item go? Do I need it, and does it bring me joy? I think those are good questions to ask yourself, because Target, for example, boy, they suck you in. I mean, you just think you got to have it. But if you really think about where in my home is this item going to hang, or where am I going to set it, or where's this pillow going to go? Do I really need it, or is it just a want? And I've tried really the last few years to say, okay, if I really want it, I'll come back the next week or a couple weeks later, and if it's still there, okay, I might buy it. But I try not to do the impulse buying as much. I'm not saying it never happens, but not as much. So where do you begin? Like I said, I think you just need to start wherever the area that's bugging you the most is in your home. If it's the kitchen, if it's your bedroom, if it's the garage, if it's a closet, start there. And I will say what's worked best for me is to empty out an entire area. So an entire closet, pull it out as much as you can. Our master closet's a little bit tougher because Bill's got a bunch of stuff in there, but I think it works best for my stuff if I can pull it all out. Or I can't remember what KonMari method or something like that out there, where like you gather like items by type, like all your pens and markers. I did do that, and I like that method for that. I don't know if I could do it for everything we have, but for like pens and markers, I did. I grabbed them all together, put them in a big pile. Anything that wasn't working or didn't have an eraser went in the trash immediately. That was a nice way to do it. I would say for those of you who are challenged by like how to get started, set a goal each day for the items that you're going to declutter. Like maybe it's 10 items a day that you're going to get rid of, or 50, and whatever. I mean, if you're starting from scratch and you got a lot of stuff, it might be 50 items, and that might include a magazine or some very simple things. But I think that's key, is to kind of have an idea in mind of what your goal is each day. Resist the urge to reorganize. I did this for years and I still catch myself doing it. What I'll do is I'll move stuff from one room to another place to another, and the vicious cycle continues, because you're not getting rid of anything, you're just moving it to a new space that now gets cluttered. So try to resist that urge and say, okay, if you really are going to take time to declutter, truly get rid of things. And I think that's the key, not just finding a new storage container for it like I've done. Take it slowly, go room by room, whatever works for you. If it's going through all your clothes, maybe you do all the clothes for everybody. I think that would be overwhelming to me, so I would just do my clothes. But people will say sometimes you just need to do like a certain type of product at one time. When you are purging, I think you just have to make it a regular habit. You begin to enjoy it. It's like exercise. It hurts the first few times. You don't enjoy it, but the more you do it, the more it just becomes a habit. It's just like the mail. It's something I do every day. Going through the closets and like going through kids' clothes, I do it. At least a couple times a season. Like, are they wearing this stuff? If not, sometimes I sell it. Sometimes they don't like it, I sell it, or I donate it. If you've got stains, or if it's got stains, a lot of times it goes in the trash. But if it's got a stain that is very, unnoticeable, then I might donate it. Emotional attachments. I will say probably the biggest challenge for me, I don't know about you guys, but you can chime in on this, is kids' items. I find that I'm most attached to kids' items, kids' clothes, kids' toys, just special things from their childhood. I think that's going to be my biggest challenge, is getting rid of some of that stuff. Right now I've got a cedar chest full of some of their clothes. Okay, I know I need to go through some of that. So it's always a work in progress, I think. It's just not something that just you master and then you're always done with it. I think it's just kind of a continuous process. Choose quality over quantity, especially like when it comes to clothing or just things around your home. I think sometimes just waiting until you have enough money to invest in a nice item is better than too much stuff, because the too much stuff just really gets to you. I want to leave you with a few thoughts. I was reading this in a blog post, so not something that I came up with on my own, but a study that was done, I think at UCLA, showed a direct link between the amount of physical possessions in a house and the stress level of the female homeowner. Isn't that interesting? And I think it's so true. The more stuff in a woman's house, the higher her level of stress hormones. Amen. Amen. I think that's so true. If you aren't bothered by stuff in your house, like I said, kudos to you, but it really bothers me. And I think this is interesting. It said women subconsciously relate how happy they are with their home life and family to how they feel about their homes. I don't know about you, but I agree with that 100%. I think when our house is messy, I don't feel as good about life in general. But if things are picked up and things, and I'm not saying that everything's perfect, because you can have things look perfect on the outside and they not be on the inside. But hey, Lisa, but I just think that if my home looks nice and I feel very peaceful and calm, then life seems to kind of go along the same route. When things are kind of cluttered and chaotic, I find that I'm more stressed in general. So I think that study is like so on. So again, more clutter, chaos in the house, less happy the woman tends to be in her family and her life. So to me, less stuff equals less cleaning. It's not stressing about company coming to my house. There's more time to enjoy life and more time to play. And isn't that what life is about? More time to play things I enjoy, more time to play with my kids. And that's the bottom line. So that's why I started decluttering. And I think, let's see, what did you say, Connie? My goal is as I've lost weight is to pull out all my clothes from my closet, and if I don't love it or wear it, it's getting absolutely. That's a great thing to do. Like as you're releasing weight, you release things from your past, and clothing can be one of those things. And yeah, if you don't love it, that's a great way to start, is to just get rid of it. And I think a lot of times, what I've found for myself is a lot of times my weight and clutter seem to be kind of cohesive. So if I'm really struggling with my weight, a lot of times I look around the house and I think, okay, there's just too much stuff here, and it's just a mental chaos to me. And I think it does affect your thinking, and it just affects your choices in life. So that's why, again, bottom line, why I've really worked on decluttering our home and just keeping a more peaceful life, is I don't need that chaos in my life. I don't need the extra stuff. Stuff does not equal happiness. So bottom line, figure out what works for you. But I'm going to be sharing more tips in the next few days, and I'll talk to you about how I made money selling stuff on Facebook, garage sales, and other ways that I've done it. So I'll be chatting with you guys soon. Have a fantastic day. I'm off to a health fair, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.